All right, guys, it looks like I am live now. I am so excited for tonight's live stream and to see all of you guys. It's kind of funny. I'm really getting used to this whole every Tuesday night thing, going live and sitting and crafting and chatting with you guys. It is a ton of fun, and it really is one of the highlights of my week. So, I'm so excited to see all of you guys who are already in the chat here. I'm sure lots of more of you are going to be joining as you get the notification tonight. Now, it's been kind of a crazy week. You guys haven't seen me since last Tuesday. The reason being is because I was sick. So it wasn't the greatest Thanksgiving, but I hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving and happy late Thanksgiving to all of you guys because I wasn't on social media too much since then. But I'm better now. If you can hear it a little bit in my voice, that's why. Tonight we are going to do a little bit of hot foiling live. Definitely some risky business to do hot foiling live because anything could happen. I'm still kind of testing it out and playing with hot foiling. So I'm going to do it along with you guys and I hope you enjoy tonight's live. It's something that I've been testing out. I've linked down all the supplies in the description box. And as I always say, those help support me. I'll link them down in the live chat as well. So if you want to use those as I'm crafting tonight, that would be really awesome. So I'm excited to see all of you here, and let's just flip down to my work surface and dive right into all of the fun card making with the hot foiling. All right, so I'm gonna flip down to my desk here. I know there'll be some of you guys joining in as we go here. Now I have let my Glimmer hot foil system heat up as we've been off screen. It takes about 10 to 15 minutes, so I wanted this to be nice and hot. Once you plug it in, it'll have this red light, and then once the platform is ready and hot, this will turn green. And so that's how you know it's ready. And this is for the Spellbinders machine, but of course if you have the Gemini 2, I've linked that down below because there's a system to go along with the Gemini machine as well. All right, so let's talk about some of the foiling plates that we're going to be using. I'm going to use some holiday ones to make some Christmas cards today. So I brought some of the Spellbinders Christmas images on, and again, these I have linked down below too. I thought the images were just beautiful. And we're going to start off with this fun Glimmer Winter Village. I thought these were just stunning. So we're going to do lots of tests and stuff as we go throughout today's live. So if you are new to hot foiling too, pull out your hot foil machine and have fun with me tonight. It's going to be an awesome night if you're just learning. So I'm going to pull out these two village scapes. These are stuck down just with a little bit of adhesive to the packaging, not too big of a deal. And I'm going to leave the snow in there because we're going to use our own snow in a little bit. It's definitely quite a bit hot. And I'm going to, for my cardstock, I usually use my Simon Hurley Create Stark White cardstock. And I'm going to use the Stark White cardstock as well in today's live. But this happens to be Glimmer hot foil cardstock from Spellbinders, and I've cut it down to smaller sheets. I wanted to test out how it works. To me, it almost feels a little bit like Yubo cardstock, so that might be a great option too. I've heard that the smoother the cardstock, the better. I'll show you why I use my Stark White cardstock still, because there's definitely a reason to still use your normal cardstock, and it works perfectly, but let's see how this foils. So, I'm going to grab a piece of foil first. This is the variety pack of my Glimmer foil, and I think I'm going to use, should I use this darker copper color? No, I think I'm going to use the gold. I love the gold. It's just a good staple. If you guys have seen my hot foil videos, you know that this is probably the color that I use most often, just because I like the classic look that it gives. All right, so yes, these can go that way. So we'll cut it down just with our scissors here. Cut it like that. And I love these big Tim Holtz shears for doing stuff like this, just to cut down the foil because it, you just want like a couple little snips and then you're done. So cut it about in half right there. Here we go. And this is probably the most tedious part, is cutting down the foil. But once you've got that, it's going to be good to go. So I'm going to take first one of these guys, and we will lay it down on our surface there. And you guys will see in a second what I'm kind of planning here. I just want to lay it down And I'm gonna lay it down kind of close to the bottom on this first one. And then one thing that I love to do is I go in with my piece of mint tape or any kind of low tack adhesive that's not gonna rip your cardstock. And I'm just going to put a piece down almost like a hinge. So I'm going to tape it down to the hot foil plate and then tape it down to your cardstock. And the reason why I do this is that I can go in, lift it up, lift that hot foil plate up, and then you're going to place your foil down. And the foil goes in pretty side up or pretty side facing the hot foil plate. So the hot foil design, the pretty side of that is going to face the pretty side of the foil, and that's how you know you got it right. I know Jennifer McGuire labeled her machine with that just so that you know it is really helpful to know exactly where things are going to go and how it's going to work. And then we'll go in and just tape it down in one more spot so that it doesn't move. Just so that's not going to move on us. All right. And then I'm going to bring in my foil machine and we'll just go in and lay this down. I'm excited to see how this is going to work with the cardstock. And then it comes with this thin shim and the spacer pad. You just place that on top and then I set my timer. And this timer is going to blink like this. Once it turns solid, that's how you know you're ready to run it through your die cutting machine. Give it that pressure, of course. So I see lots of you guys in the comments. I haven't been looking at the comments. I've been trying to get my foil cut, but now I can look and see what y'all are saying. Oh, there's lots of you guys talking in there. That's awesome. So we're just waiting for this timer to go off, and this is really heating that up. So what it's doing is it's going to heat up that hot foil plate, which is going to, of course, heat that foil, push it into that design, and then the pressure that we give it with our die cutting machine is what's going to really transfer that foil beautifully. And I've been obsessed with the effects you can get with this. So I'm going to just pull this off to the side for just 1 second. I'm going to actually bring in my die cutting machine. For this, I have the Platinum machine. It's quite a large machine, so that's why I wanted to just bring it in quickly so that I've got it at least here and ready. All right, so then once that turns green, I'm going to go in, pull that out. You just pull it out of the base there. I'll show you guys. So then it just looks like this. And then you're just going to take that with the plates on top and just run this right through your die cutting machine. And instead of doing it super fast, I just really slowly kind of glide it through like this. It's going to help you get the best transfer to go through pretty slowly, especially where your design is. You can kind of feel where your design is. And I just go pretty slow. Perfect. Barbara said she asked for a Glimmer hot foil machine for Christmas. This is perfect timing. We'll show them this video. They're gonna have to get it for you after they see the effects. All right, so I'm just going to place it back into the base, and then this I'm going to place right away, and then we will show you the results. All right, so I'm just going to take this and place it back into the base there. Then we will lift off the top two plates. And okay, so I'm excited to see the results of this cardstock. This is like the magnetic tool, and this is going to help us just lift that off and make sure not to get burnt. That's really helpful. And then it also comes with this like cooling pad, which I'm going to place the die off to the side on so it has time to cool down. And let's see, I'm going to lift this out of there and just place it back in. I don't know what, there we go. Okay, the light's back on now. All right, so let's peel this off and see what it looks like. Ooh, I love that. Look at that awesome effect. I think that that's beautiful. So do you guys see in this cardstock, and it actually, I feel like it impresses less than a normal cardstock. It doesn't give as much of like an impression into it. It's not my favorite. I do like how my Stark White cardstock, it really presses that into the cardstock and gives almost a letterpress look, whereas I'm not getting that as much with this. I still like the effects. Now let's talk about removing any of the excess, because I know you guys are seeing this. I'm not acting like it's not there. There's a little bit of overfoiling here and a little bit over here. Now this kind of comes with the territory with hot foiling. It's been something that I haven't really been able to avoid, but also you do want to like cut around the dies a little bit more detailed than I did, and then you'll avoid, of course, these large areas like this. And to get rid of anything like that, all you're going to do is just go in with this mono sand eraser. This is a game changer. I do have it down in the links. We're gonna see again how it reacts with this cardstock, because it is a little bit different. Yeah, it removes it really easily. Just like my stark white cardstock, all you need to do is go in with this eraser and just lightly erase off the surface there. And all it's going to do is just, it removes like a slight layer of that cardstock. It doesn't remove too much, especially on this shiny cardstock. It kind of scratches this up a little bit, but again, I'll show the stark white cardstock in just a second, because I do like that a little better. It's all about testing things out though, because I know some people really swear by this super smooth cardstock, but it's not my favorite. And then these areas I want to get perfectly, because I'm not going to cover them up, but I think I'm going to cover up this section anyway. So like right in between this tree, we're going to test this out. So yeah, I like my stark white cardstock better, to say the least, because this isn't impressed enough. I usually am able to just go in and like erase right around it and have no issues, but this cardstock didn't impress enough, so I'm not able to do that. But I'll show you on my next example. So this is that first cardstock. Now, it foiled really well besides that overfoiling, because look at how beautiful and shiny that is. It's just stunning. Yeah, this is the Winter Village. I'll have this linked in my supply list. You can find the supply list in that chat or also in the description box down below. Krista says, you make this look so easy. Well, Krista, we've already made a mistake, but it is pretty easy to get the hang of once you understand it. So I wanted to test that cardstock. Again, let me go back to what I'm used to now. And this is my Simon Hurley Create Stark White cardstock. I like it because it's a little bit heavier. You can see this one got a little bit warped during the foiling. So let me show you this. So I'm going to go in with the next Winter Village. We're going in with this little house here, this larger building, because I want to kind of layer them up a little bit. So I'm going to go in with this guy next. We lay it down, grab another piece of my mint tape. This stuff is honestly game-changing when you're doing this, because I love to make sure that everything is all lined up with the foil and everything, that it's not going to move in my machine. And so that's where this becomes really helpful, because I'm able to tape it down to make sure that things aren't going to move. All right, this got kind of a little bit ruined. It got picked up with adhesive. So let's see, can I still get use out of it? I think we can. You want to make sure still though, that even if that's taped up there, you want to still tuck that into there. And then when we go in, this is what you want to do, right? This is one step that I forgot. You just want to go around and kind of trim around this house. You want to trim off any like excess corners, and also just if you have a really large space, like at the other one, I left a large gap on the bottom. You don't want to do that, because that is just going to leave room for the heat to just foil that. All right, I think that's pretty good. We'll cut off this corner and then we'll call it a day, and we'll run this right through our machine. So again, I'm going to take this. That looks pretty centered there. I'm going to bring it over into here, and I'm going to lay it right down onto my machine. There we go. We'll go in with both of our plates again and our spacer pad, and we'll press our timer. And again, we're gonna let this run down. Someone in the comments says, the hinge technique I've not used. I'm glad you guys are finding some of these techniques helpful. I believe I learned that one from Jennifer McGuire with that taping technique. It is so incredibly helpful. It really is a game changer when it comes to making sure things are lined up. Tape is always game changing. Yes, Jennifer did do that foiling. Yep. This is the Winter Village, Glimmer Winter Village. I've got everything linked down below if you want to check it out. And I'll also leave a link in the chat. Someone said, if you want a deeper impression, add a cardstock shim. I'll show you guys. The cardstock that I'm using right now will give a little bit of a deeper impression, and I'm a little bit happier with that, whereas this was a little bit thinner, so I think it didn't push into the cardstock nearly as much. That's a little bit of the difference, and it's also super slick. I know people have been telling me to use slick cardstock, but I like the effects that I get with my stark white cardstock. So I'm going to move down to my desk again. The timer went off, it's solid. I'm going to bring on my machine, and then we'll pull out my Glimmer hot foil machine too. And I know a couple people mentioned this, but I do also have, I think 2 videos on my channel going a little bit more in depth about the Glimmer hot foil machine and everything like that. I have one with all new products, and then one just really testing it out and sharing everything that I learned about it. So be sure to check those videos out too after this. So I just run it through slowly. I actually learned not to run it back through. I know some people will tell you to do that, but it has a chance of moving your plates sometimes, and then you get like a weird shifted image. I don't really like that. So that's what I end up doing, just running it through once. And I've had the best of luck with that. All right, so I'm going to just remove this, place it back in there, and then we'll go in and lift this off. All right, so I'm gonna grab, again, this magnetic tool. It's kind of a game changer when it comes to removing things off. So we'll just, told you guys, I just touched that. I'm going to move that off to the side again, and here we have our second look. You guys can see, these are 2 completely different looks, right? You do get a little bit of cleaner impression with that, whereas you get a little bit more overfoiling kind of all around the image on this, but let me show you how to fix it. The thing that I like about this is you get like a little bit of like deeper grooves. Do you see that like indent there? It almost letterpresses it in. And like someone else said, you could also use a shim of cardstock to do that as well. But let me show you guys this. So this is where I would bring in my mono sand eraser. And because it's impressed more, I can go in this time and just go all around this image really easily with my mono sand eraser. And I can go over top of the image too. This is what I was struggling with on the other one, because it's not impressed on the other one. So I can't like go on top of the image and really like get into it. Whereas on this one, like if there's something on top of those trees, I have no problem going right on top of those trees and erasing, and it's not going to affect that foiling at all, which I find to be really helpful. So that's why I like it to be indented a little bit more. Besides just that it looks beautiful, it also does serve an effect to that it's really not going to ruin the foiling as much. I mean, of course, you don't want to really go on like solid, super solid areas like that top of the house, but if it's just little areas like these trees, you're not gonna be able to see any effect to it. All right, so then just one more area up here. This kind of comes with the territory when you hot foil. I haven't found a way around it anyways, and once you get those areas cleaned up, which is really easy to do with this mono sand eraser, it looks stunning in the end. And then this is really resilient foil. So like I said, you can kind of erase on top of it and it's not going to do anything, but also like you can watercolor and ink blend and everything like that, and nothing's going to happen to it, which I find to be really awesome. All right, so then I can go in and I'm going to do another set of hot foiling just really quickly before I turn off my hot foil machine. To do that, I'm going to end up using the Glimmer gift border. I wanted to show you guys an easy background to do as well, because I want to show you how resilient the foil is when doing a background. So we'll just peel this off, and how easy it is too, because these are super easy to do. So this is just a simple one. I'm going to go in with another piece of cardstock, and this I wanted to show is where getting your cardstock right is important. So I'm going to do inking and watercoloring and stuff like that later on. So I want to make sure that I'm using the right cardstock. And for this, I'm going to end up using my Simon Hurley Create Stark White cardstock. It's going to take my ink and stuff beautifully, whereas I just know that the other cardstock is not going to take my ink well. So that is why I end up using this cardstock. Even if it gives a little bit more overfoiling, it's what I'm used to using, so I don't really mind. I'm gonna go in and let's see. I'm gonna do silver just because we've been doing gold. I want to switch it up just a little bit. So I'll bring in a little bit of my silver. All right, there's a little bit of adhesive on the back of that die. All right, so we're gonna go this way. We're gonna line it up about right there. And cut that down. Perfect. And then I'm going to line this up. And cut it right down as well. You don't want to be like too stingy with it. You do want to, I know I said like cut around it, but you don't want to cut too much off. I've had that happen where you have to cut a whole nother piece of foil then. That is not fun. So I like to cut just a little bit more. And then of course I can always do that erasing technique where you just erase any of the overfoil. It doesn't bother me too much. All right, so tuck that underneath. And again, you want the pretty side of the foil facing the pretty side of the hot foil plate. So the design facing the pretty side. And then I'm going to go in, bring in my piece here, or my machine, and then we will place down the plate side to the hot foil machine, and then place down your plates as well, and press the timer. All right. Someone said, does it work with the Big Shot as well? I know that people have said that it works with the Big Shot. I'm not sure if it works with the Vagabond. I know that it works with some of the physics machines, so be sure to check over there. I think Spellbinders has all the different kind of sandwiches you want to use because I believe it is a little bit different for every machine. Thank you. Morris says, I really like the videos you're making and your teaching methods. They're helpful. Thank you so much. That means the world to me. So yes, I haven't been looking too much at the comments today. It has been a little bit stressful with the hot foiling. You never know what's going to happen with this machine, but then once I'm done with this, of course, we're going to go into finishing off the cards and showing you all the things you could do with it. So I'll be looking at the comments a little bit more during that section. All right, so I'm going to move this up to the side. The timer's about to go off, so we can move that off and then grab our machine again. I know this is getting a little bit repetitive, but I do want to kind of share this process, especially if you're new with the Glimmer hot foil machine, because I wanted to share it a couple times in case we run into problems. It's helpful to see those problems and see how to solve them if you have the same machines. So again, this one is a little bit bigger, so during this, I'm going to go really slow throughout because you want it to transfer, right? You want to just go slowly through. Instead of going back and forth, just go once pretty slowly through the machine. That is going to really help at the transfer. All right. Yay, someone said, I borrowed my friend's foiling machine to experiment with, and you've given me confidence to try it out. That's awesome. Okay. So we're going to pull this back on the screen, and this one's going to be a fun reveal because it's got lots of image on it. All right, this one's also going to be, oof, sorry for that noise. This one's also going to be extra hot, so I'm just going to place that off to the side without touching it. And then here we go. We'll let it cool off for just a second. You know, honestly, I'm not sure if you're supposed to let it cool off. Usually I kind of just rip it off like a Band-Aid, but I'm going to let it cool off here because I think you'll get a little bit better results. And then there is our image. And again, yes, we did leave extra foil on the edge. That's not the machine's fault. That's just me not wanting to go around and cut it. One thing I did want to try, and one thing I'm going to recommend, is if you have like a rotary cutter and you have a cutting mat, you might want to just go around and lightly trim your foil like that. Just place down your hot foil plate. This one's hot, but place down this onto your cutting mat or surface on your foil, and then cut right around it, and that can give you maybe a more precise effect. I've wanted to buy one of those, so I'm going to look, because I think that would be helpful. for foil, because foil is kind of tedious to cut. But then, of course, this eraser is really where it's at when it comes to this hot foiling. If you don't have a mono sand eraser, I really recommend it. Again, it's in the links in the description box, but this is going to be absolute gold when it comes to foiling, because you're going to have these areas where they overfoil with the hot foiling. It's just going to happen. Because where that foil is hitting and it's touching that hot surface, it's going to foil. And so going in with your mono sand eraser is going to really help with that and make sure that nothing's going to happen, and you're going to be able to remove your foil pretty easily from it. But you can see that since that was a nice flat plate all throughout, it's just heated nicely, and it's got our images really nice and solid there, and there's no overfoiling in between all the images, which I love. But look at that awesome foil. And like, again, with this Stark Weight cardstock, it's 110 pound cardstock. It's really thick, and it like impresses the cardstock while you foil. So that's why I love this stuff. It definitely gives you different effects. So these are the Stark White, and this is the Glimmer foil. It just really depends on the look. I think this gives you like a smoother look because there's not as much texture. So just depends on what you love. I like either one. All right, and then one more thing that I want to do is do some sentiments, and I'm going to do these both on the same one. And for the sentiments, I'm going to use the Essential Christmas Greetings. I thought that these were really beautiful sentiments, so I wanted to use them for my cards today. I thought they would be fun. So I'm going to use Season Greetings from Our Home to Yours, and also we'll do May Your Season Be Merry and Bright. I like these a lot. I thought they'd be fun. So we'll pull these guys out, and then we're going to want to use the different colored foils that we used on our cards. So I think for this one we're going to use the gold on this one and the silver on this. So I'll cut these out really quickly. Just grab a little bit of my foil. All right, and again, it doesn't matter if we overfoil these, really. I'm not going to be too careful because I don't want to cut too little of foil. And something is wrong with these scissors. All right, let me go in with these guys. This is why. I was like, the rotary trimmer would be so nice. I just need to bite the bullet and get one. Because there is something that's kind of tedious about cutting foil, which is not my favorite. All right, that was lucky that that one fit. And then last but not least, we're gonna do a little bit of our silver foil. And for this, we've already got kind of a piece cut. So we'll just go in and cut that down. Now again, with this, you want to follow the same recipe. So you're gonna place this down onto your surface here, and you want, oh, is this not big enough? Oh, it just fits. All right, that is a score in my books. All right, so with our mint tape this time, you want to take some mint tape, and you want to just be able to tape your image down so that it doesn't move. And then again, like I said, you want the pretty side, the design, to be facing the pretty side of the foil. Perfect. How are you guys doing? If you're foiling along with me, let me know how you guys are doing in the comments. I would love to hear what you guys are crafting along with me, or just share what you're making. All right, so with this, we've got it all taped down nicely, so we don't need to worry too much about it. We're going to place that down, and then we will place down our plates and start our timer. All right, there we go. Someone said rotary trimmers are great with foil. Just be sure to have a self-healing mat or glass mat. Yes, thank you, Elizabeth. That is a great tip. Yeah, place down a mat first, but yeah, that rotary trimmer would be awesome with the foil. Yes, Holly, I'm just getting over a cold. Sorry if my voice sounds a little funny. All right. So we are 30 minutes in, and we've got some of our foiling done here. This is what I love to do. I love to kind of start my projects like this with this foiling machine and just get all of my foiling done in one sitting. It takes a little bit longer to do because you have to wait. So you could always be doing things in between and get other things done. But it is really easy to just get all the foiling done with and then start working on the rest of your cards. And I'm excited to create with these for sure. All right, so I'm going to move this off to the side as it's almost ready. right, and then I'm going to pull in my die cutting machine. All right, it's ready. Is the mint tape paper backed with low tack? Yes, it is a paper-like tape with low tack. I've got a couple of videos on my channel, so if you want to just search mint tape Simon, you'll be able to just kind of see all the videos I've created with it. It's one of my favorite adhesives for not ripping the cardstock and masking and stuff like that. It's really a great tape. I use it a ton. In fact, I just go through those rolls like nobody's business. All right. There we go. I'm going to move this off, and I think we're done foiling for the day. And then we'll just finish off our cards. So let's just make sure these look good. We're gonna go in, grab this tool. I'm telling you guys, if you don't use this tool and you just use your fingers, I don't know how you're doing it. It doesn't get too hot where you're gonna be burnt on contact, I don't think. But like, it's definitely a shocker when it hits you, because it does get pretty hot. All right, those are stunning. I love them. All right, so for this, I'm just going to take the machine and flip it off up there, and then let this cool down. Don't set anything on it. It's gonna melt things if you put things on it. So there is just a little tiny bit of overfoiling, just kind of around the sentiment. Now, like I said, if it was outside of the sentiment, I wouldn't cut it off because I'm gonna cut around these, but there's just a tiny bit in between words. And then also, if you notice ever that there's like a little bit of foiling in between your letters, you can always go in and just bring your eraser in. And there was just a little bit in between this from, so I'm just gonna go in and go right over that. And you know, if there's not foil that's supposed to be there, it really shouldn't take too much to just get off. Sometimes you can even get it off with just a a dry paintbrush, and that can sometimes get some of that excess off too, because sometimes it just sticks where it's not supposed to. All right, I love that. Those sentiments were super easy to do, and I love them. Season's greetings from our home to yours, and may your season be merry and bright. And the fonts on those are just absolutely stunning. Look at that letterpress look. Beautiful. All right, so I'm going to, again, put my supply list in the comments there. That is the supplies I used. I know a lot of you guys were asking what plates I was using. I used a couple from a few different packs here. So let's get started with our first card. I'm going to finish off these presents here. And I wanted to share exactly why I like to use my stark white cardstock, because this was the stark white cardstock. And I know a lot of people say to use a smooth cardstock, but I don't always love that. And here's the reason why. I'm gonna grab, in fact, I'll grab the smooth cardstock that I used at the beginning. This is the Glimmer foil cardstock. There's nothing against this. It's good for the foiling, but I'm gonna show you why I don't love to use it with this. So let's bring in some colors. I'm gonna go in with some like winter kind of colors. So bring in this guy. Let's do a little bit of Crown Me too. I think that would be beautiful there. Or no, let's throw it there. And then I think we should do like maybe a green color. Let's do this. Let's do Psych. And we'll throw that in. Where should we put it in? Oh, let's do this. That's a better order. I love this color combination because it doesn't scream Christmas. It's not everyday Christmas colors, but it really is beautiful in the end. All right, that's what we're gonna end up with. So let me show you guys why I love using my stark white cardstock, even with foiling, even if it might create extra overfoiling, or if it might look a little bit textured, because it does look a little tiny bit textured in there. But let me show you guys. So I'm gonna bring in my ink here and start off. Let's go on the coated cardstock first. That is how the effects you're gonna get. So that is what you're gonna get, and it's not too bad. It lifts up a little bit, so it doesn't really dry into your cardstock right away. But this is definitely not the color on that ink lid. But then, like, what if we want to go in and we want to like really layer out that color? Got a little tiny bit darker. Let's see. So like a little bit darker, but it's really not getting to that color. It's more or less a pink, right? But if we go into our stark white cardstock, and I'm just gonna go right over top of the foiling that we just did, and we bring that right onto the surface here. Now I'm starting a little bit lighter handed because I want to just kind of lightly blend on this ink. So I'm starting lighter handed and I'm already almost to that same color there. But if I want to really bring in more of that color and kind of make it nice and saturated, you totally can. That's what I'll do here. And you can just see we can really bring up the intensity of that color. So that, my friends, is really the difference on why I love to use my cardstock, why I love the effects that it gives. Because look at this. It really darkens up that color. You get a nice deep red, whereas here, it stays very one layer. It doesn't really build up and it doesn't give you that darker effect. And also, like this is pretty much dried into the cardstock. You don't see lots of red coming off of my finger there because it kind of sinks into that cardstock more right away. Now this did dry over time. I'm not complaining about that. Like it's not sitting on top of the surface, but it just gives me a one layer kind of color. So paper does make a huge difference. That's why I love my cardstock, just because of the depth and dimension you can get with the blending. But it's, you know, to each their own. If you've got the other cardstock and that's what you're working with, that's totally fine. Perfect. All right, so let's go in with Crown Me. I just like to kind of share that with people because some people get a little bit confused and they ask me why they're not getting the same effects. And so that's why I'm sharing that, just so that you know, like, exactly what I'm doing, 100% transparency, so you can know exactly how to get the same results. It's cardstock, it's the ink, it's everything that you're using together. You want to make sure you got quality supplies, or, you know, so that way you know exactly what you're going to create. All right, so there we're going to blend together to create that effect. Now I also want to see, let's see how this blends too. This kind of makes a big difference too. Okay. That is the difference. I'm glad I showed you guys that too. Because yeah, it's one color is like, one color does make a difference, you could totally see, but look. So this is mixing those two colors together, they're mingling in that surface there. These two are both sitting on top of the surface together, and it doesn't like re-blend the color. I don't know, that's weird. So that's why when I found this cardstock, I was like, this is something special. It does, it gives a special effect. All right, I'm telling you, it's got something in it that's magic with inks. I don't know what it is, but it's really great with inks. All right, we're gonna bring in No Diving, which is one of my newest colors. I love this blue color. This blue tone is one of my faves. All right, we'll blend that guy out. And then we'll mix this together to get a nice in-between color there. I love that color in between. Creates something beautiful. And then last but not least, we'll go in with a little bit of Psych. And you guys know how much I love this color. Psych is one of my favorites. It's just this really bright, you guys can see. Oh my gosh. It's just this bright neon, like yellowish green color. And it'll like brighten up any card. It'll brighten up any other color. Like look at the in between of that. It just creates this beautiful brightness to it. All right. So there we have our colors. And I love how that looks. So just coloring in one side of that cardstock to finish off of that background. And now look how resilient that ink is. That foiling. None of that foiling was affected by any of the ink there. It's still so vibrant, so solid. It didn't scratch it, it didn't dye it. And if any ink is kind of sitting on the surface of that, one thing you could do is just go in with a paper towel and just wipe over top. That's going to just make sure that all of those inks aren't sitting on the surface there, aren't sitting on the foiling, and it's going to keep it nice and shiny, which is beautiful. Love it. Yep, this is just my stark white cardstock. And it does great with the foiling too, but it also is like, if you want to foil and then blend on top, this is the cardstock to go with for sure. All right. I haven't looked at the comments again a lot, but a lot of you guys were saying, yep, paper makes the difference. It does. It makes all the difference. So I like to share. And yeah, someone said squeaky paper blending with the other one. Yeah. All right, so there we have our background, our surface there, and I think we're gonna keep this card really quite simple. I'm gonna cut this down maybe. Should I? Sure, I think I'll put it down. That's my chair that you guys hear squeaking. It has been squeaking for a little while now, and I think it's time for a new chair in here. I've only had this one for about a year, but I think it's, as you guys can hear, to the end of its road, or it needs to be tightened or something, because it keeps squeaking. All right, so I like this little row of color that we've got going there. So I'm just going to grab my card base. And this one happens to be a side folding stark white card base, and then I'm going to just lay it down like that. I think I like that look, where we just have it a little bit more off to one side than the other. And then I'm going to use the sentiment that says, may your season be merry and bright. And I'm going to go in with my scissors here and just go around this. Now you could, of course, use a circle die cut to die cut this out, but I don't know where one is. So what I'm going to do is just go in with my Fiskars Spring Assist scissors. I have these linked down below, and basically in every video that I do. These are a game changer, and I know a lot of people that I recommend them to have been saying the same for fussy cutting. So if you guys struggle with fussy cutting, these are your scissors. They are phenomenal for getting just really great effects and really easy fussy cutting, because they spring back out at you, so your hands don't get tired then. All right, and then I'm going to just go in here and fussy cut right around here. And yeah, circle die cut might be better for like a sentiment like this, but we've already started, so we're just gonna go in here and finish it off. And then round it right back out to top there. All right. So there we have our sentiment that we've just cut out. And I keep it pretty simple when I cut something like that out. And then I think I'm just going to lay it kind of right in on the edge there. Kind of center it up a little bit. I think that's good. I like how this looks. It finishes it off really simply and easily. Now, of course, you could go right in the center if you wanted to. You could have another color cardstock, but I don't think I want to cover that up like that. I think I like it kind of off to the side a little bit. What do you guys think? I think I want it off to the side. I think I like that. Someone said they got a pair of those Fiskars scissors about 15 years ago and it's still sharp. Yeah, they're a great quality scissor, that's for sure. All right. Yes, everyone's saying they like the offset. Okay, me too. Glad we're on the same page. That's what I ended up liking too. Sometimes I feel like doing an offset design is really kind of fun like that. It gives a little grounding area to your card. And then I'm just going to place that sentiment right down in the center there. And I'm going to go in with just some white foam squares. These happen to be just Gina K white foam squares, but you can go with any white foam tape or adhesive that you have. All right. And this is just going to give a little bit of dimension. I like to add kind of dimensionals down to anything like this just to kind of pop them up and give them a little bit of depth to your card. All right, so we'll go in here, and again, I'm gonna, instead of just doing it right in the center like this, I think I'm gonna put it, no, actually, you know what, that centering is totally fine with me. I like that. All right, so put that right down there, and I think I love how that looks. It looks really great. I love all of that foiling that we did on this card. I think it really ties the whole thing together. The simple ink blending in the end was really great, and I'm glad that I showed you guys really the difference that you get with the ink blending between different cardstocks. You guys can see that blending is not it. This is more of a coated cardstock. This is my struck white cardstock, and you get that really bold and vibrant blend between all of those different tones. So that's why I ended up loving that cardstock. All right, so I am going to go in and move on to the next card here. So, all right. Let me just paste my supply list down in the comments there, and we'll move on to the next one here. So for the next card, I'm going to go in and use these houses. Now, I'm going to go in and just do a little tiny bit of fussy cutting here. And for this, I'm going to keep it really nice and simple and just do a little bit of cutting around these houses because we want to layer them up and create kind of a layered card. I went onto the Spellbinders site and saw a really beautiful card that someone made with kind of this layered effect with these houses. So I'm going to do something a little bit similar, kind of inspired by that. So we'll go around the houses and just fussy cut them out like this. All right. And it's pretty simple to do. When I always talk about fussy cutting, I do talk about, I don't really go into every single little detail. If there's like, look, there's a dip in that house right there. I'm not going to go all the way into there. I'll just kind of loop that over until the next one. I make things as easy as I can for myself. Because there are some things that, you just might not want to buy dies for or don't really have the dies for. And fussy cutting with these Fiskars Spring Assist scissors is a game changer, but also just making it easy on yourself, right? Like choose where you want to spend your time, and if fussy cutting is not one of them, it doesn't need to be the most precise thing ever. So there we go, we've got one done. And again, this is where you guys can really see the difference. Do you see that texture? I want to share. So there is a difference between what kind of cardstock you use. If you see, when you tilt this is completely smooth. This is the foiling cardstock, and this is my struck white cardstock. You can see there's a little bit of like almost a gilded look in there because of that little bit of texture. It's not too big of a deal for me, but again, just whatever look you want is what you'll go for. And then, of course, we can go in and do the exact same thing with this one. So just go in and fussy cut right around these houses. Now this one is going to be up against the other houses, so I do want to get a little bit more into the details. So just going right around those trees, right around the houses, leaving just a little bit of a white border around it. I always leave that little bit of a white border because it ends up kind of making things stand out a little bit more, and it also is a lot easier to cut around and not make any like super noticeable mistakes, whereas following exactly around a design can sometimes be a lot more difficult. All right, so you can see I got a lot closer to the design there. It's not super noticeable when you're cutting around with a border. All right, so then we can go in and you guys can see when we layer that up, you get this really cool layered effect no matter which way you put it. And I love that look. What do you guys think? Should this house be in the front? I'm kind of thinking so. I'm kind of thinking it layers better. It almost fits in like that. Maybe that's how it was designed, to have this in the front and that in the back. That just means we're going to have to erase right around here, which is totally fine. I'll just go in with my mono sand eraser a little bit more heavily and just erase right down here. Not a big deal. You can do it pretty quickly too. Just put lots of pressure down and kind of get rid of that. All right. And then again on this cardstock, we don't want to get too close to the other areas, but that pretty much got rid of all of the over excess foiling. All right, now to create a background for this, I'm going to go in and use one of my stamps. So I'm going to end up using the Stitched Snowflakes stamp for this. So I love this background. Yeah, I've got it linked again, and it's one of my favorites. It's got a ton of detail. I know it's sold out on Ranger's site, but it's still on scrapbook.com, so that's where I've got it linked. And we're going to do a little bit of heat embossing. So I'm just going to go in with we'll bring right in the card base. So I'm going to go right onto my card base here. I'm going to bring in a little bit of my Versamark stamping ink. I want to make sure that all of the peel apart areas are pressed in. And this stamp is one of those peel apart stamps from my line. And I'll show you what that means in just a second. I'm going to just ink that up. And then press it down in. And now one thing I like to do with background stamps is grab a pressure tool. This happens to be the Debbie pressure tool, but you can use any tool you'd like. It's usually used in the Misty stamping tool, but I do use it for backgrounds like this. I find it to be super helpful just to press everything down, make sure to give it even pressure because it's got a larger surface area than just using my fingers. So I find it to be great to get into those littler areas. And this background stamp is awesome because look, do you guys see those cutouts? I think there is 8 different cutouts in here. So you almost get like 9 different stamps because you can stamp those snowflakes separately, which I think is just so much fun. Not a ton of companies are doing that, and it's one of my favorite things about my stamps that we came up with. And then we'll go in with a little bit of clear embossing powder and heat emboss this. And I don't need to do the whole background. I'm just gonna go kind of from where those houses would be and upwards. That looks awesome. I know this is just gonna look beautiful. I love how detailed those snowflakes are. And I think that clear embossing powder is gonna capture that nicely. So I'm just gonna go in with my heat tool and I'll mute you guys for just a second here. All right, I am back and look at that heat embossing. So you just want to heat it right until it's clear and shiny, and that's how you know it's going to be great to emboss and start working with because it's going to create that beautiful resist with those snowflakes. So I'm going to bring in my inks here. I'm going to start off with a little bit of no diving. We'll bring that color in onto my surface, and I'm just going to do here and there with my colors and mix them together. So I love that look, and I like doing this kind of variegated look in the sky. It's something I do quite often. I love this breakup blue color too, so I just mix different variations of blues. We have a lot of different shades of these blue colors, and it just gives such a beautiful look every time. And look, again, my cardstock is just so beautiful with blending that it just does such a seamless job at getting these colors in together and really making them look stunning. I also want to bring in just a little bit of sidewalk chalk to almost give kind of a wintry look with that soft kind of purplish hue. And that, see, even like a color like that where it's very different color, it still blends together with that darker blue. And then I'm going to bring in a little bit of Midnight Snap because I do want this to be kind of a nighttime scene. So we'll bring in this color. It's going to kind of overpower a little bit, but I kind of want it to because I really want to bring a little bit of darkness into this to give it some depth. That's why it's great to have all these different shades of blue and different depths of color so that you can really make it whatever scene you want. And if you want to make it kind of a more nighttime scene, this is a great color for that. All right, I love that look. Look how quick and easy that was. And you got a beautiful blend in the end too. I'm just gonna grab a clean rag and again, wipe off the embossing. That's gonna give me a nice bright white look. So you see that they just really brightened things up by removing the ink that might be on top of any embossing there. And then we'll go in and just clean up. Ooh, just clean up our surface. Sorry, I dropped my spray bottle there for a second. All right, so this creates a beautiful background. I love how detailed and intricate those snowflakes are. Look at that. You still get all of that amazing detail with that embossing, which is something that I love about it. So remember, you don't always have to stamp the stamps just in black. You could, of course, stamp this in color if you wanted to. You could also heat emboss it so that these snowflakes turn white, and then you've got all those beautiful colors in the background. I got a lot of amazing comments. You guys are all saying it's just breathtaking. Thank you so much. It is so much fun to create with that. So next I want to put my little village at the bottom here. And so in order to do that, I'm going to just go in and adhere them down. So I want to first start by adhering the back piece down first. So we'll just go in here and lift that out. Grab my adhesive and place it down. Now, of course, you could always lay them up on foam tape too if you want to, but I did run out of my main foam tape, so I don't have enough foam tape to just do that. And honestly, this is a great way of doing it too. So I'm just going to lay that down and then place it down onto my surface. And that is going to just look stunning. I love that look. And then, of course, we'll add this right on top to finish everything off. Make sure to add adhesive down to everything. And then we'll line it up with the bottom of our card to line everything up. And look how beautiful that is, guys. Oh my gosh, I love it. And that's why I just kept that surface of these two card stacks where we foiled white, because we want that to really stand out like it's almost like a snowy scene. And then we've got that beautiful, beautiful background with those snowflakes on it too. And of course, if you wanted to too, you could have used the snow, just the little dots of snow from here if you wanted that to be foiled. But I really loved bringing in the snowflake design that's from my Simon Hurley Create line and really finishing it off with that. And then I'm going to bring in a sentiment. I think I like the season's greetings. Do I want to cover things up though? I might go in with a smaller sentiment. Do I have one? Let me see. Let's see. Let's use something from this. I love this stamp set. This one's called Christmas Silhouettes. You'll find that if you search up Simon Hurley Create Christmas Silhouettes, I don't have this one linked, but this is such a great set. And I want it to just say like something really simple, like one of these smaller sentiments. So that's what this is great for. And I like, oh, I love Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. Or you could do Wishing You and Yours a Wonderful Holiday Season and a Blessed New Year. I think that that is beautiful. With those houses, that finishes it off really nicely. Love that sentiment. So I think I'm going to stamp that down right down here. I think that'll finish it off nicely. I don't think it should go. Should it maybe go in the sky? Maybe. Yeah. What do you guys think? Yeah, I think maybe it should go up there because you don't want to draw your eye all the way down to here. So I think I'm going to put it right up in the sky. And we'll go in with our acrylic block. Karen said not in the sky. What do you guys think? On the snow. Okay, everyone is saying on the snow. All right. This is unanimous. This is unanimous. I cannot ignore you guys right now. I'm going to go in with my Misty. All right, everyone is saying it. I kind of agree. I didn't want to cover up the snowflakes, so you guys are right. You guys are right. I'm going to go in with my powder tool here, my interstatic powder tool, just to make sure that this is going to stay nice and clean. And I grabbed out my Misty because, like one of y'all said, we are not trying to ruin our work at this moment. So I'm going to kind of place it a little bit upwards on that bottom snow hill. And then one thing I like to do with my Misty is I check with my grid lines and I make sure that things are lined up. And that would most definitely stamp crooked. So that is why I like to look in my Misty grid lines. Those things are lifesavers. Even if you have to move it just like a smidge. Guys, I feel like such a surgeon right now. Yeah, okay, up a little tiny bit more. And that's about as close as I'm gonna get to. Perfect. All right, so we'll go in with a little bit of black ink. And we could have used that sentiment that we could have used the sentiment that we foiled too, but honestly that one was a little bit too big. If you want to put it on the inside of the card, you could, because I don't think the outside needs a sentiment, but I'm one of those kind of people who just put a sentiment on everything. And I know there's the opposite people who just don't love sentiments and they keep it either to the inside of the card or they wait until, you know, they're mailing it to somebody to put on a sentiment, but pretty sentiment oriented with my cards. All right, so then we'll throw over a layer of clear embossing powder just to make sure that that dries. I pretty much always do with black ink just to make sure that it's dry so that it's not going to smudge, and also it looks kind of finished off more to me when it's got a layer of clear embossing. And we'll just quickly heat set that until it turns nice and clear. And you want to just make sure to not warp your cardstock. I don't think that did too much harm. I could always cut off that bottom edge if it warped it a little bit. But I love how this card looks, guys. It is beautiful. But again, that warping, that's weird that cardstock can't really take the heat. This is that shinier foiling cardstock. So it's weird that wouldn't be able to take that heat, you know? But awesome. I love how that looks. So everyone, that is the finished cards for today's video. I hope you really enjoyed hanging out with me and creating these cards. We are just at the hour mark, so it was really great timing. I had so much fun creating with the Spellbinders Christmas hot foil plates. Again, I will link them down in the chat one more time, and they are in the description box. You can find all of the different supplies that we used in today's live in the chat, so that you guys can find those, and also in the description box below after the live you'll be able to see all the products with pictures. These were so much fun to create, and I hope that you guys pull out your hot foil machine if you have one, or will look into it. It is just so much fun to get these results. All right, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight, crafting and chatting in the chat. It is always such a blessing to have you guys here. It's a highlight of my week. And I hope to see you guys later in the week as well. It was just Black Friday, so Ranger was having some sales. A lot of my products are sold out on their site right now, so I'm incredibly thankful for all of your guys' support. And if you picked up some supplies there, I would love to always see what you guys are creating with my stuff. So be sure to tag me on social media or share it in my Facebook group. I do have a Facebook group where you can share all of your Simon Hurley Create projects. It's called Stamping with Simon Hurley Create. So if you want to check that out over there too, it's an awesome community where you can share your projects, which I love to see what you guys are creating. Thank you for all your well wishes too. Everyone in the chat is saying feel better. That is so incredibly sweet. I really appreciate it. Last week was not the greatest, but I'm definitely feeling a lot better now. All right, guys, have a wonderful night, and I'll see you all soon. Bye.